So we've had a bit of chance to think about it. Any questions about what we talked about?
I'm just kind of wondering if the whole hands thing has to do with some of our primal senses, just because if we were always on the alert early in our history, like we were always looking at people's hands if they were going to attack us or not.
I'm gonna agree with that. I think that's just a big part of it. Maybe it could have to do with the fact that we saw our hands as helping us do things that other animals couldn't, like making tools and stuff. Maybe that's in there too. I mean, from a strictly evolutionary perspective, there must have been a good reason that we do that, why it matters. It must have helped us to survive in some fashion or another. And I don't want to get into the evolution creation debate here. And because from the creationist side, we could always say, well, God wanted us to do that kind of thing so that we could survive better. But either way, yeah, it's cool, isn't it, that we would do that? I mean, I think so, but then I'm a geek, so there you go, right? So let me go back. Other thoughts from people? All right. I'm going to assume that I'm interesting enough. So back to screen sharing, okay? So here's what we get when we're online and we're communicating in an email. And you can see how this is so different from what we're hardwired to do. So when we're communicating online with emails, with texts, and things of that nature, we're providing ourselves and each other with information that's way, way, way more difficult to process than what we give each other when we're talking with each other. So we need to be really careful with what we write in emails and when we're working in an online environment. Emails too long, we lose our audience. If it's poorly worded, people don't understand what we're saying. If our sentences don't make sense. And that's why grammar becomes important, for example, because if we understand how grammar works, then we are better able to write, and we're better able to write in a way that people can understand and internalize, and we got a better chance that somebody's going to understand what our meaning is. And this is, of course, one of the big things to think about when we're working in an online or an online aspect of our work environment, which there um, is it's also really hard to take what's in our head and put it into words. Because within the human development, using words is relatively new, and writing is relatively new compared to the long, long, huge history of our existence. So we're learning how to do it still, and it doesn't come naturally, which is, of course, why some people say good writing is just rewriting, going over it again and again to make sure it says what you want. That's why I would always recommend to you, if you've got an important email to send to somebody, you've got something that you want to make sure people understand and is clear, write it one day, read it over the next. Same with all your papers at school. Write them one day, sleep on them, read it over the next, and see, does it really say what I want to say? And actually, frankly, I'll go you one better on that. If you got a writing assignment, give yourself a week. so that you can start writing some ideas down first, write a few things down, next day start to expand on that, and then read over it and then add in more, take out stuff back and forth until it really says what you think, really says what's going on in your head so that other people can more easily understand it. And of course, we talked about the writing tips in our presentations, right? That's why we have other people read over our stuff. So when we write papers at school, white papers are what essays are called in the work environment, where you provide an outline of an idea. They're like academic essays, except the writing style is different. What you write about is different. And the key part, though, of making sure that what you write is easy for people to understand and internalize, um, that doesn't change. So give yourself time when you're writing stuff. You'll always get through and get your ideas across better. So here's, have I gone through this before, the basic communication model? I honestly don't remember.
Yeah,
Am
you
I,
threw it like the first day of class, I believe.
oh, okay, good. And so now that we're online, our channel of communication in the class has changed. Yeah, I always sent you some emails, but now emails become more important. It's the way we connect, right? And that's why I send you guys videos, because I believe if I send you a short little video to tell you what's going on, it's way easier to process than if I send you this huge 10-page email to outline what's happening in the class. You can go back over it as well again. Um, and noise is what that writing is about, right? In a video, if I've got my favorite band playing in the background cranked up, well, that creates noise that makes it harder for you guys to hear what I'm saying. All right, so back to the ganglions. And now we have something called a cognitive map. And this we can sort of consider the mind, if you will. Some people call that. This is a philosophical question. Do we have a mind? How does mind work? Is this a cognitive web, a map, a mental map of how we see the world work? And you'll see that there's these different points here that are much bigger than these points. And we can think of these as ideas, conceptions, that are more powerful, that have a bigger effect on how we see the world and how we think than these little guys here too. And if somebody says something or an idea comes in from here, then where it fits into the web is determined by all the other things that are in that web. And sometimes it even gets completely rejected, right? And that gets back to Hector's point. When we socially construct race, we have this strong sense of what race looks like, and some people simply will not accept that an African American, for example, is the same human being as anybody else, be they an Asian, be they Caucasian, whatever, right? If our mental map, if our cognitive web has a lot of flexibility in it and built into it in these ideas, then we do better. And here, getting back to Elsbach chapter, is where we find our person prototypes. They're established, they're strong, they have a profound effect on all the things that we think. We good? Cool, onward. So back on track. None of this, what we're talking about now, is going to be on quiz number 9. We're moving into back to looking at Elsbeck's stuff, which I guess is going to be on quiz number 7, right? So we've got creativity and person prototypes. And she identifies 3 types for us: the showrunner, the artist, and the neophyte. And what she's telling us is that if we're pitching an idea to an executive, that executive is likely to see us either as a showrunner, either as an artist, or either as a neophyte. The showrunner, they see them as a person who's going to be able to keep in control of things. They're going to be able to make sure that the idea gets implemented well, that they're going to have the nuts and bolts in place. The artist is somebody who's really sort of an artistic type, somebody who is, I don't want to say flighty, that's hardly fair, but there may be more abstract, maybe a little bit more inclined to sort of try to get up with these really different kinds of things without any specific ways of applying them. Or they might see you as a neophyte. And the neophyte is somebody who is brand new to this idea, this way of doing things, hasn't ever done anything like this before, and is looking to you, the executive, for some help. So here's the important point that we need to keep in mind. Because the people that we're pitching our idea to are likely to see us as one of these three types, well, then we want to, as much as we can, present ourselves as one of these three types so that they fit back into that cognitive map and the person's able to receive our ideas. And we've seen this before, haven't we, right? In chapter 1, in the decision-making styles. Well, here we have something very, very similar, right? They see things in a certain way. Our job then, if we have a creative idea to pitch, is to present ourselves in a way that fits into here. The sooner we do that, the easier it is for that person to hear us, the easier it is for that person to adopt our idea and say, cool, this is great, we want to do it. Now, she also has 4 other person prototypes, and that's the pushover, the robot, the used car salesman, and the charity case. If you look like one of those 4 to the person you're pitching an idea to, they'll reject your idea much more quickly. The pushover comes in, says, I've got this idea. The executive pushes back and they go, oh yeah, that's right. And they give up, kind of. The robot is just what we call the canned speech. She comes in, she does her presentation. There's no flexibility. She just puts it out, bang, 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 bang. There's no real connection with the audience whatsoever. That kind of person, if you present yourself in that way, well, people are going to go, I don't know if that's a good idea. The used car salesman, well, we know that. That's the slickster who comes in and is just ultra slick with their presentation, tries to be cool, tries to present that this will work, no problems at all, without any real substance to the idea. And the charity case is somebody who might come into the office and they'll say something like, look, you've really got to adopt this idea because my department desperately needs to be able to move forward. And if we can't, we're going to be in huge problems. So please, please approve this idea. Give us what we need so that we can move forward. That ain't going to work either. So we want to stay with those other 3 types. The showrunner, somebody who demonstrates they know what they're doing. The artist, somebody who's maybe a little bit more out there with their ideas. And then the neophyte, somebody who comes in and says, well, I'm not 100% sure how this works, so I'm going to be looking for your help to get this stuff done. All right. Now, one thing we also got to keep in mind is that most creative pitches fail. Executives simply reject them. And I bet you, if you've been thinking a little bit, you know why. And if we go back to that decision-making style, you got a lot of followers, right? So they haven't seen this done before. This is brand new, completely different. And what are they going to say? No, right? So most pitches fail. Furthermore, the showrunner usually wins. And what that means for us in a business context is if you've got the experience and have implemented other creative ideas before and show that you know what you're doing and how to implement them, how to get people in the organization together and to work together, you're more likely to get your pitch accepted. And we ain't all showrunners. It's just not how we work. Sometimes we don't have the experience. Sometimes that's just not our style. We may have a really great creative idea, and we're not really the kind of person who wants to be in full control of implementing everything. We'd rather somebody else do it. We just came up with a great idea. And remember, there's nothing wrong with being a lieutenant. letting somebody else be in charge. You bring things and information to the person and they run with it. You can still be incredibly invaluable to an organization, even if you're not the one that does everything, produces everything, and makes everything happen. Maybe that's a little counter to the ideas that we sometimes have what a successful person is in business. And I hope you guys can accept that. In fact, you can have a great, wonderful professional life without being the person that makes everything happen. You can be the person that understands what needs to be done and can implement it. And you can follow the advice of somebody who's really good at controlling what's going on. All right, so what do we do? First of all, always exude passion about your ideas. We've got this again and again and again. We've seen this over and over. If you got an idea, you're excited about it, put it out there. Put your heart onto it. Show that you really care. Show that you really think it's interesting. Whoever the decision maker is, get them involved. Ask them, how do I improve this? Show them that their input matters to make sure that this gets developed. So no matter which of the three person prototypes you adopt, the showrunner, the artist, or the neophyte, make sure that in your presentation, you're asking that executive feedback. You're asking that executive to see what they think of this idea. How would you do this? What do you think is the best way to implement this? How can I improve on this? And things and questions of that sort to get the person more involved. And the poor catcher, the person that's getting the pitch thrown at them, and I'm not meaning anything bizarre here, this is just the language that she uses in her article. Test expertise and past experiences. You know you're going to be swayed by your prototyping. That's what we do. So step back and go, okay, I'm going to get excited about things because somebody fits into the prototype. Well, hold on a minute. That in and of itself shouldn't be the thing that gets me excited about doing stuff. So when somebody throws an idea at you and pitches something creative, test their expertise. Ask them, how can you implement this? Where's your experience in the past? Show me and demonstrate that you know how to do this and that you're going to be able to do this, or that you can find the people that can make that happen. Confront, not in a mean, nasty way, but in a clear, direct way. Confront the people that are throwing these ideas at you and ask them and make absolutely sure what they're doing and they know what they're doing. Ask for a prototype. Ask for a demonstration. Okay, cool. You've got this neat idea. I get it. Give me a prototype. Give me a plan for implementation in the organization. In an engineering department, build me something. With 3D printers nowadays, that gets so easy to do. Show me that it works. And before you make a decision, make sure that you've got that prototype and you look for it. And bring in other people. Have them look at it with you. Don't be alone in the room when people are pitching. As much as possible, bring in other people in the organization that you trust to be able to make good decisions. Have them watch, have them take some notes, and then afterwards sit down and talk with them and get their input and their suggestions as to how we can do this, whether it will work, why it'll work, how it might fail, why it might fail that way, and what we can do to avoid that. All right, there it is. I'm done. Any questions? No? You guys are letting me ramble. You know how dangerous that can be, right? Can get, I've got a thumbs up. Thank you. Really appreciate it. So looks like we're golden. Okay. Somebody want to say something? All right, so we're done for the day. We'll meet again next Wednesday. If you got any questions, make sure you shoot me an email, well worded, of course, so that I understand your questions. It's a joke, eh? And let's move forward. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys for the rest of the term. And I know you can make the adjustment. It's a tricky one, but I know you're able to manage this. So anything I may do to help, let me know. Talk to you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Professor Hank.
Oh,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Thanks, Ralph.
Hey, you.
Later.
Bye, Slime.
Professor Hank, I have one question really quick.
Uh-huh.
Is this always going to be the Zoom link that you're going to use?
Yes. And
Okay.
you can access that Zoom link through Blackboard. I've got the
Okay.
link there as well. That's basically, and I'll be online fairly regularly with that if you just want to pop in and say hi.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.